4RPH presents Flock the Gate, the story of a fantastic rescue by Bianca Ferrari. Bexhill the Koala and his animal friends are in fear of their peace and safety as a new threat to their habitats is taking hold. Mullumbimby the Magpie has a rescue plan, but what does it involve? And can the mysterious My Wing be trusted? Your reader is Michael Bushby.
Bexhill the Koala fell out of his tree yesterday when the drilling began. His friend Kurabel the Kookaburra had told him about an unusual coming and going of heavy trucks lately. He said that his cousin Casino witnessed heavy machinery being brought onto the land where he lived. After days of disruption by noisy trucks and machines, a horrible vibration made him stop laughing one early morning. Curious to know what that could be, he left his favourite tree and flew over to the only gum tree that was left after they had cleared a wide path through the forest. Kyogle, his brother, was already there, and together they saw the strange-looking towers from where the vibration seemed to come. Bexhill thought about this while dusting himself off and rubbing his round back. Something was going on that made him feel rather uncomfortable. He looked up at his tree and saw Kurabel talking to Mullumbimby the Magpie. Mullumbimby had connections everywhere. He was a fabulous broadcaster and always knew of the latest events. Bexhill was keen to hear what he had to say and called out, "What's going on, Mullum? I fell out of the tree with a bad tremor." Kurabel and Mullumbimby flew a few branches down and waited for Bexhill to climb up. "Are you hurt?" asked Kurabel, always concerned for others. "Not much, but I am shocked." Bexhill looked at Mullumbimby with anxious eyes. "I had a meeting last night with magpies from further up north. My friend Mullumbimby was telling us that Queensland was no longer inhabitable. All the animals are packing up to leave the area." Kurabel and Bexhill looked at him in disbelief. "Where are they going?" asked Bexhill. "They want to find refuge in northern New South Wales. But what has happened up there will happen here soon. This is only the beginning. First they test drill, and after that they put a rig into the earth, really deep." "What's that for?" Kurabel asked, looking solemn and shaking his head. "They blast enormous amounts of water into the ground. They flush rivers of water through the tunnel deep into the ground. I feel sorry for the wombats. They will have to leave their burrows." "Is Queensland so bad from just a few scattered drilling holes?" cried Bexhill. Kurabel almost laughed, but pulled himself together just in time. He looked at Mullumbimby for an answer. "There are hundreds of them scattered all over the land. They call them gas wells." "Gas wells? But you just said they fill them up with water." Bexhill was puzzled. His sleep had been disrupted after many bad days of rest, and now he had to listen to distressing news. Kurabel's two sisters, Chincogan and Channon, joined the three in the tree, ready to hear more about what caused the little earthquakes. Mullumbimby stretched his wings, folded them under and said, "It seems that they are getting gas out of the ground. You know there is gas between the seams." "Yes, yes, yes," cried the sisters. "Deep down it is there to keep the balance of the layers of soil." Kurabel nodded. "The gas helps stabilise the earth by regulating the temperature and the pressure. It needs to stay there." Channon said, "Oh, definitely. What are they doing with the gas, Mullum?" Mullumbimby did not know. He said he would get in contact with his friends further south and find out more. Meanwhile, they should give Bexhill time to rest. "We will meet tomorrow at dawn," he said, gliding off in one long swoop. Kurubel and his sisters were woken by the sound of machines and the thundering of trucks before they even got a chance to announce the new day. Kurubel peered through the branches at Bexhill, who was awake, nibbling on eucalypt leaves. "Good morning, Kurubel," he tried to say with his mouth full of delicious green leaves. "Last night I met Bushby the tawny frogmouth. He said he was scared out of his wits when he first felt the earth shaking. I invited him to come and meet us this morning." Bexhill climbed onto the next branch, where he found some particularly sweet gum leaves. He was eagerly awaiting for Mullumbimby to come and tell them more about the terrible threat to their homes. Bushby arrived. He was slightly irritated over the hour. Normally he would have already gone to sleep. They heard loud shrieking noises above their heads. Seconds later, Mullumbimby landed on one of the branches with 3 black cockatoos in tow. "Good morning, these are my friends, Gloucester, Glen and Forster. They come from the mid-north coast, another gas hotspot. Gloucester, would you like to explain to my friends here why they are drilling for gas?" Gloucester sashayed down the branch to get closer. He began, "Gas is a source of energy for them. They use gas for cooking, for hot water and electricity." "They should eat raw green leaves like me," Bexhill said, chewing. Bushby wanted to know what electricity was, but Gloucester already continued. "Mostly gas is used to produce things. They call it industry. Gas can be used as an ingredient for plastic, fertilizer and fabrics. It is used in the metal, paper and chemical production." Glenn swayed his head from side to side. "I heard they need gas for processing food." "How strange!" Chinkogan exclaimed, and everyone heartily and noisily agreed, except for Bushby, who finally fell asleep. The sun was up and over the hills, casting a dewy morning light. They could see a family of wallabies having breakfast. The mother seemed highly alert, looking up and around, listening attentively while stopping to chew. "Eureka!" Bexhill tried to get her attention and almost fell again. "Hi, Bexhill. What's up?" Mother Wallaby was happy to see a friend. "We are having a little gathering here. Won't you come and join us?" Bexhill asked. Kurubel intervened. "She has no wings, and she is not such a good climber as you are." Mullumbimby suggested for them to come down further so that Eureka and her family could be part of the party. "I am quite alarmed," Eureka said. "Lately, there are very unusual vibrations in the earth I never experienced before. Does anybody know where they come from?" Everybody started to talk at the same time. The one thing that Eureka could catch was that they were drilling deep wells everywhere into the earth. "Queensland is already perforated by wells," Mullumbimby told an astonished wallaby. "They are getting gas out of the deep layers they call seams and shales." Eureka sat down on her strong tail, looked around to check on her children, and said in a low voice, "They are finally destroying our land to a point of no return." Gloucester thought it was time for him to speak. After all, he was the most informed. He had contacts to Sydney, where his cousins Camden and Campbelltown had witnessed the drilling scenario for quite some time with growing concern. "It's not just putting holes everywhere into the soil. They inject a mixture of water, sand and chemicals into the wells, and that causes the earth below to fracture and break. The sand stays inside the fractures, and the gas can rise to the surface. They channel the gas into pipelines which service the gas plants. The water that comes back up, would it be mixed with gas and chemicals and all sorts of things? Things that are in deep layers of the earth and should better stay there?" Eureka inquired. Forster was aware of the polluted water problem. He lived near the Myall Lakes and had seen many fish dying. Minto the platypus reported to him that her food source was getting dangerously scarce. Everyone knows how much a platypus needs to eat daily to survive, half of her own body weight. "Why are the fish dying?" Channon wanted to know. There is methane gas in the waterways that can escape through the cracked earth, the wells and the pipelines. It is very hard for them to avoid gas spills. Gas is lighter than solid matter and lighter than water, and makes its way to the atmosphere whenever it can. Methane gas is lighter than air. It is also highly inflammable, Gloucester replied, glad to be able to relate background information. A small shock wave went through the gathering. The thought of something highly inflammable made them shiver. Gloucester noticed their fear and quickly added, "They are polluting their own drinking catchments because they allow wells near them. All of the 5 main drinking water catchments of Sydney are now in danger of contamination." Glenn confirmed that a clean water supply was a severe problem for all. "On top of this, there are mountains of water needed to pump into the wells. For this, they are constructing major dams to supply the water." "You mean to supply water to the gas fields instead of supplying their houses?" Kurubel forgot to enclose his impressive beak. He could not believe this. "Yes, that's what it means. The water that returns from the wells is salty and toxic." "Holy earthworm!" Mullumbimby exclaimed. He was getting hungry. He found that the supply of suitable food had narrowed considerably. Worms and insects were not available in the same abundance as they used to be. Binnaburra, the diamond python, came slithering past. "I heard you talking about gas and so forth. I tell you, a truck drove over me just then. I quickly curled up and was not hit by one of the large tyres, thank the heavens and my ancestor snakes. It is shocking what they did. They cut right through my daily path with a dirt road. You see, I have to get to the other side to get to the billabong. It has made my life a misery. I am rather thirsty, so if you will please excuse me, I am on my way to get supplies for my breakfast. I wonder what I will catch this morning. Probably nothing, which means I am returning with an empty belly, and I will probably not have the energy to move fast enough to avoid these trucks. Shocking development." Her voice trailed off as she was proceeding across the undulating land. Mullumbimby had a pensive look on his small face, as pensive as a magpie could get. "Everyone is affected by this shocking development." He gave a slight nod towards the direction where Binnaburra had disappeared. "Let us have a big gathering with animals from near and far. They can come and tell their stories. It will make them feel that they are not alone in this. I am sure there will be someone amongst them who knows of a rescue. There must be someone who has an idea of what we can do to save our homes and our lives." Eureka flinched at that. She did not wish her children to overhear such gloomy thoughts of survival and the struggle for life. But knowing that it sadly was all true, she consented, together with the others, to a full moon gathering next fortnight at the foothills of Mount Warning. Binnaburra came back from the creek. "Have you seen the creek? It looks shocking, and it has the most peculiar smell I have ever smelled. I was just about to put my tail in there to get a cooling. Luckily, Federal warned me. You know Federal, the water dragon? He is always so stately and tries to impress me with his wide-chested posture. He tries to do the snake walk, but of course who can beat me in flexibility? Anyway, you should see him now. He has lost weight, and his skin is wrinkly and dry. I am quite shocked. He is trying to make it to Possum Creek, but I said he would have to hitch a ride to ever make it there. I said there is water near the farmhouse, and that must be clean. That's where I am heading now. Goodbye, folks. See you." It was a full moon night when animals from all over the country came together to share their stories and worries about a dreadful increase of alarming events in their living environment. Bexhill and his friend Koala were astonished at the size of the gathering. Apart from the Northern Rivers region, there were animals from the mid-north coast, central coast and south coast, a family of big reds from Canberra, other kangaroos and wallabies from Sydney and the Blue Mountains. There was an incredible quantity of birds, accompanied by a great volume of noise. Koala spotted cockatoos, lyrebirds and finches. He recognised galahs and magpie geese, even a small emu delegation from Bundjalung National Park. Channon saw a little wattlebird chirping away to a moorhen. She noticed an oyster catcher looking desperately for something wet to stand in, and she heard a whistling kite singing an evening song she rarely heard these days. It was still dusk, which was a good time to gather daytime and nocturnal animals. Channon and Chin Kogan kept an eye out for Mullumbimby, who said he would be there early. Koala stayed close to Bexhill, who had found a lovely young stringy bark eucalypt and sat comfortably in one of its forks. "Hello!" a familiar voice called out from the damp soil beneath him. It was Eureka. She had brought someone in her pouch, her friend Burnley, the echidna, who did prick her accidentally. She was glad to put him down. "I have good news for you, Bexhill. A delegation of koalas from the Pilliga Forest will come up and attend the gathering. I know one of them very well. His name is Gunnedah." Bexhill giggled. Gunnedah and his delegation had just arrived, standing behind Eureka. She spun around to say hello. The koalas climbed up the tree to get acquainted with Bexhill. Gunnedah was impressed with the view of the mountains. The peak of Mount Warning stood black against the setting sun. Bexhill saw a lizard swiftly running up the tree. "Hi there, my name is Lismore. I brought all my friends and relations. We're going to cook up a real feast here. We have to lift the curtain on doom and gloom. Let us celebrate our awesome creation." Before Bexhill could say anything, Lismore scurried down the tree and up the next, where she bumped into the back of a mahogany glider, who had just stretched her legs after a long day's sleep. Koala had watched it too. She must have come all the way from North Queensland, the only place where you can still find mahogany gliders. "I'd better introduce her to our circle. She looks lost." Channon dived through the branches and gently landed next to the beautiful glider. Her coat had the stunning dark stripes that gave her the name. Channon came back to report that the glider would join them in a minute. Her name was Alera, and she was desperate to find a new home because hers had been destroyed. "Was it the cyclone?" Bexhill asked, and a shudder ran down his round back. Channon shook her head. "It is the gas wells. Here she is. Let us hear what she has to say." Alera's big shiny eyes reflected the radiant sky. "They have cut many roads into the forest. My tree had been chopped, and I had to move deeper into the forest. It did not suit Tully because I invaded her territory. And there was Ingham, the brush-tailed possum, saying that he did not wish any of us gliders to live in his trees. So many others had lost their trees. It was chaos. Fights broke out everywhere over territorial rights that we've had since time began. Tully and I made a pact and shared the same tree for a while. We could not bear it for long. She resolved to move up to Cape Tribulation. I tried the coastal areas. I have a friend who lives in one of the estuaries. Mind you, that is completely out of the lifestyle I'm used to. I went to see Curtis, the sea turtle, but I could not find him." Bexhill scratched his belly and tried to imagine finding a turtle in the vast waterways of the coastal billabongs. "And what did you do then?" asked Channon, who leaned so far over to hear Alera that she lost her balance and had to recover her posture by quickly flapping her wings. "A corroboree frog, I think Calliope was his name, helped me to look for Curtis." "Did you find him?" Koala was concerned, as always. "Yes, we did. We found him in one of the estuaries under an old mangrove tree. He was very weak and could hardly move his limbs. Curtis had suffered from too much intake of toxins. Where did the toxins come from? Gunnedah inquired, who was a bit of a geek. Calliope explained it to me. Alera said that Calliope had accidentally been transported from his home in Kosciuszko National Park to the town of Gladstone. How did that happen? Kurabel wanted to know. He curiously investigated the inside of a truck cabin. Suddenly the door shut and Calliope was trapped. He was able to listen to the truckies talking about the gas plants in North Queensland. They said that the big gas export port near Gladstone had cost billions of dollars to build and everyone was promised jobs, but they did not get any work out of it. They were not happy about the gas. They said that the new gas plants and the gas pipes were leaking gas and had destroyed the fragile ecosystem around the area of Gladstone. What's an ecosystem? Bexhill asked. It's a specific area of habitation. Kurabel's voice sounded grave. You are lucky to get out of there, Alera. Oh, look, Minion and Nimbin are here. Two beautiful galahs sat down and immediately started chatting with whoever wanted to listen. What a nightmare, Minion said with a croaky voice. I can't bear the constant noise of the rigs. The air smells like the inside of a dead volcano. Not that I've ever been inside one, but that's what I imagine how a dead volcano would smell. It is nice to get away from it. I never knew there were so many animals in this area. Hello, glad to meet you all. Hi, Kurabel, hi, Channon and Chinkogan. Jiggy and Doon will be here soon. Do you remember the Gouldy and Finches who first told us about the gas thingy? Who would have thought it would ever come to this? Oh, excuse me, hell of a mess. What are we to do? Minion stopped talking to catch her breath, and Kurabel seized the moment to introduce everybody. So, you are from Queensland, Alera. What a beautiful coat you have got. I once was befriended with a stunning paradise parrot. I think she was from up there. Great lady. She died without kids. I fear there are no parrots of her kind left anywhere. It's so good to have you all here. Look how many kangaroos and wallabies have come. Can you believe the emus? They could have smartened up a bit for the occasion. Well, I guess it's inner beauty that graces them. Oh, I can see a wombat. They are such good company. I have to say hello. With that, Minion swooped down to the ground and plonked herself right in front of the hairy nose of a solid-looking wombat. She soon will be back with news, Kurabel said, thinking that he had not seen a feather of Mullumbimby yet, when the magpie landed with an elegant arc on the branch next to him. I am sorry, he cried. Mullumbimby and I were on a mission. Bexhill and his koala friends pricked up their ears. Channon and Chinkogan moved closer, and Alera stopped worrying about the sugar glider attempting to jump onto a branch. What kind of mission? Not only Bexhill's koala heart filled with hope. Maybe the clever magpies had come up with a rescue plan for all the animals. But before Mullumbimby could answer, Minion charged in on them, almost hoarse with excitement, saying, Claremont's many homes are all totally demolished. There are ruins now where once there were burrows. Some of them have been used by many generations of wombats. He says pipelines are crisscrossing the whole of his network area. He cannot get to his feeding grounds, and he cannot find shelter from the heat as he used to. His fire, heat and flood-proof burrows are damaged beyond repair. He tried to excavate for making a new burrow near an old silverbark tree, but had to run for his life when they came to cut it down to make way for servicing the new railway. Where is his former home? Kurabel wanted to know. He knew that the hairy-nosed wombat was only found in Queensland, and in dwindling numbers. It is the Epping Forest National Park, right smack in the middle of where they get the coal and gas out of the land. Would you believe it? Claremont says all the rivers carry stinky, dirty water and the wetlands are emptied of frogs, turtles and fish. At that moment, Nimbin gave a loud shriek. She had spotted a person. On top of that person's head balanced a funny old colourful hat, and on top of that hat sat a magpie. They were surrounded by bees and followed by an assortment of animals like goannas, geckos and snakes. Bexhill and his friends could see pygmy geese, bandicoots and echidnas, a bilby and a tiny pillager mouse. There were bats of all sizes, quickly settling in the surrounding trees. Mullumbimby flew up to the crown of their tree. "Friends and friends of friends," he announced, looking sharply at Minion and Nimbin, who wouldn't stop nattering. "I have found somebody who can help us." A big cheer went through the tree, coinciding with a gust of wind that was driving the leaves to a quivering dance. Mullumbimby waited for all to calm down. "Bangalow, Clunes and Nuribar, the black cockatoos, are rounding up everybody who came here tonight. They are very efficient. I trust we will have all our visitors and locals gathered at this spot in next to no time." Almost immediately they could hear the valley resounding with squawking, squeaking, yelling and shouting, grunting, mumbling and even snorting sounds. They heard crooning and chanting, chirping, humming and carolling. It was a sound dish of a rumbling and ringing choir. The bowl of the old crater of Mount Warning was resonating from a buzz of animal voices never experienced before. The whole mountain range was reverberating from the echoes that travelled from peak to peak and down and up the valleys. From Mount Mullumbimby to Mount Neville and Mount Nardi, there was a sing-song of music that was so strange and so beautiful that it made the cows and sheep in their paddocks, the dogs and cats on their farms, marvel. Above the din, Bexhill and Kurabel could make out the screeching and shrieking of 3 black cockatoos, Bangalow, Clunes and Nuribar. "There is Byron!" Mullumbimby cried from the top of that person's funny hat. And Bexhill noticed that Mullumbimby was getting unusually excited. "Who is Byron?" Channon asked, and started to wonder if she was at the right place at the right time and if she should have stayed in Rosebank. She loved peace and quiet, but then she remembered the upsetting changes to a lovely home and that she had come here to seek guidance and advice. She moved a little closer to her sister Chinkogan for comfort. Unexpectedly, a big shadow moved across the crowd of animals. The sharp silhouette of a bird with a wide wingspan of over 2 meters cut its way through the moonlit scene. The valley fell silent. Bexhill could feel his heart beat fast against his hairy chest. He saw a spotted quoll hiding behind Alera, who herself was stony with terror. Even Minion and Nimbin stared in disbelief. The cheeky finches, Jiggy and Doondoon, shivered with horror. Gunnedah tried to keep a cool exterior, but Bexhill could see the tip of his furry ears trembling. He could tell it was not from the wind. Byron had landed. The sturdy branch of a Buyong rainforest tree was unshaken by the arrival and appeared to welcome the majestic white-breasted sea-eagle. Before he started to talk, he nodded to the person under Mullumbimby, and she made her way slowly to the roots of the rainforest tree. She sat down, and as if by magic, all animals sat down as well, or at least lowered their body in respect for the king of birds. "Dear friends, I welcome you to our great country. My real name is Mewing. My assignment is to look after one of the tribes of the first people of this land, the Arakwal. I am their totem and messenger. Today I have come from my home at Cape Byron to Mount Warning to tell you that this land and this ocean is no longer inhabitable for animals. I have asked the help of the Arakwal elder, Luna Nightcap. She is a great magician. With her help, you will be able to leave this country and travel to a new world." The silence was broken. Everyone started talking. Mullumbimby and Mullumbimby only with some effort quietened the agitated assembly. Mewing continued, "Luna is a special human being." "A human being?" Nimbin could not help exclaiming. Her shrill voice echoed from the steep, rocky walls of Mount Warning. It seemed even louder in the stark light of the full moon. When the last echo receded, everything was still. It was so still as if the world was holding its breath. The whole place of the gathering was motionless. No wind ruffled the leaves or swayed the branches. No insect buzzed. Butterflies had folded their wings, and the ants stopped in their tracks. Until now they were busy as usual, not paying much attention to the goings-on in their environment, seemingly creating their own. Nimbin was aghast over her own conduct. "Manners, Nimbin! Where are your manners?" Minion hissed, not sure if it was appropriate to talk at all. But it was fine because nobody paid attention anyway. There was an uproar of protest. Animals vented their anger and disgust. The ensuing tumult drowned Nimbin's apologetic, "I am sorry, Meewing. I did not mean to interrupt." Kurubel and his sisters gave off a kookaburra remonstration of exquisite vigour. Bexhill was disappointed. He did not put much trust in the skills of human beings when it came to looking after wild animals, let alone rescuing them from disaster. After all, the dilemma of their critical situation was due to human activity. On the other hand, he had a very high opinion of the sea eagle's knowledge. He shuffled back into the two arms of his seat in the tree and waited patiently for Meewing to enlighten them about the rescue scheme. After the excited crowd switched back to listening mode, Meewing continued as if nothing had happened. He gave his words the weight to convince everyone of the magic powers of Lunar Nightcap. "I have found you a planet as beautiful as Earth." Her mild voice did not carry far, and the animals repeated to each other what she just said. "She has found us a planet as beautiful as Earth." The sentence began to sound like a song. It wrapped around the animals' minds like the scent of the waratah flower. It had the soothing effect of light rain. It had the sweet taste of promise and hope. It was said with raptures of delight over and over. "It is a planet as beautiful as Earth and completely uninhabited. In other words, it is free for you to go and live on." Luna paused here, and her words lingered in the cool and still night air of the mountain. Bexhill was very happy. An exquisite rush of relief made him almost euphoric. He turned to Kurubel to see how he took the good news. His friend had his thinking cap on. "I wonder what she is going to do with the domestic animals, the ones that live and work for humans. We can't leave them here. It would not be fair. Cows and bulls, horses, dogs and cats would have to make the move with us, don't you think?" Just then, Meewing addressed the question of domestic animals. "All pets and farm animals will get the same chance to leave planet Earth as you have. We will introduce them at a separate gathering to the idea of leaving. It is their choice, as it is yours, to stay or to move away." "Staying? I'm not staying," Minion said with wild astonishment. How anyone could think of a further exposure to the polluted air and contaminated water was a miracle to her. Gunnedah was wondering how they would get to their new planet. Other animals inquired about transport, and Luna thus explained, "With my magical powers, I will build you a rescue spacecraft." "Are we all going to fit in there?" asked Yamba, one of the emus from Uriga National Park. Emerald, a little wattle bird from Queensland, gave him a peculiar look. He thought emus were smug and a little on the haughty side. "Don't worry, you will all fit." Luna's calm voice came from the bottom of the rainforest tree as if the tree itself had spoken. "I will soon appoint one of you to take count of the animals. Please make yourselves comfortable and remain at your spots until the counting is finished." Luna exchanged a few words with Meewing, the sea eagle, and then asked if a turtle by the name of Wilson was present. It took a while and a few "Excuse me, please," before Wilson stepped forward. "Wilson, being a turtle of considerable age, I am trusting that you will count best. I appoint you to do the counting of the animals." The old turtle was very moved and slightly overpowered. "Poor him," whispered Channon into Chinkogan's ear. "I would not know where to begin." Mewing took over. "All right," he said from his spot in the tree. "Let's count first the birds, then the mammals, after that the reptiles, and lastly all the insects." "I would not need the exact number of insects. A bulk estimate is just fine." Wilson heard Luna's instruction with some relief. He was certainly good with figures, but had never in his long life had a task of this size before him. Mullumbimby and Mullumbimby both came to the rescue. "We'll help you. Everyone can conduct a self-count in groups which Mullum and I will organise. We will give you the count of each group, and Wilson, you can tally up all the numbers straight away and tell us the total." It did not take long for them to find out how many animals there were. Wilson was amazing. He counted millions with concentrated ease. He got so enthusiastic about it that he threw in 1,000,000 extra with the group of mammals. The result of that was that Luna designed them a spaceship far too big, and it was decided that the mammals of the sea would come on board with them. The slight inconvenience of travelling with dripping wet dolphins and whales was to be tolerated with gallantry. Mewing, the magnificent sea eagle, flew back to the Cape of Byron to prepare the mammals of the ocean for a journey in a spaceship. He was glad it would happen tonight, and not, as originally planned, 1 month later, at the next full moon night. The dolphins and whales were in desperate need of a rescue program. The oceans of the earth were in a terrible state. Luna Nightcap rescued the animals. She found them a new planet because she was a stargazer and she loved animals. When she finally sent them off in a spaceship she had built for them with the help of some magic, she herself was not climbing into the rescue rocket. Bexhill tapped Kurabel on his left wing. Kurabel turned around and saw that Luna Nightcap stayed behind. "Are you not coming with us?" She explained that human beings were not allowed on the new planet, only animals. Fitzroy, the magpie goose, called out to her before disappearing into the spacecraft, "Flock the gate and lock them out." Luna gazed at the silhouette of the old volcano against the softly coloured sky of a new day. It was eerily silent without animals. She thought of something her aunt had once said. Just to repair the ravaged earth would occupy humanity for hundreds of years, with a greatly satisfying yield.
Michael Bushby has been reading Flock the Gate, the story of a fantastic rescue by Bianca Ferrari. Published by Koala Press in 2013, the book was serialised in the Brisbane studios of RPH Australia.